Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's read. This is on YouTube channel James 13 Wicca. I'm going to put the dice and the card information below that I'm going to be using for this set. That way you can easily find it. Also, if you're anywhere near Herkimer, New York, I'm offering some live readings if you're interested. That should be below too. I should have added that by now. There's info below on how to get a reading from me on here, and I'll get the email up here too. So if you'd like an email from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. That being said, let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, Gemini. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. Okay, we're just going to let these pop out there for whatever reason. These readings are valid whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Gemini? Those 3 cards, just the way they popped out, that's interesting. So, what are we talking about with those 3? I'm very, very, very interested to know why those popped out. They're all face down, naturally. Naturally. Okay. So, that's in the environment, that's at the end. Okay. I don't need a lot of oracle cards for whatever reason. I feel like you have 3 possibilities coming up. And they're all kind of like, they got to be searched out a little bit. The situation you're dealing with is typically very, this is how it goes. It's kind of like if you're looking at like your bank statement. This is what's here, this is how it is, this is what you're going to get when you do this, that's what this is going to be. It's kind of like just like a basic savings account is the best way I can think of it. It's like what it is what it is. It's almost like a school system. It's kind of like this is currently how it works. I don't feel like I'm in a position to change the rules or affect the rules, but it's there. Whatever it is, it's like this is how it goes. Could be a work situation. This is how it goes. Doesn't mean that it can't be changed, but I feel like, at least up to this point, I haven't really felt like there was anything I could do to affect it in a way that I want it to change. Okay, so it does seem like there's a very strong foundation. Okay. That's, all right, that's not going to stop you, but there's possibilities that show up. These 3 face down cards are, I think, is what's coming in, because something comes in and it changes everything. Everything changes. Everything changes. So if it's a job, for example, something is putting everything upside down. It's kind of like whatever was very stable and secure, it's kind of like, I don't know about that right now. It's kind of like, it might be. Maybe it's still stable. I don't know for sure because of how things are changing. It reminds me of like if you work at a place and all of a sudden another company buys it. It's kind of like we might stay the same, might change. Don't really know. Things have kind of gone up topsy-turvy here. So, whatever the situation is, it offers 3 possibilities. Okay. Interesting. Which is interesting. There's one where I do nothing and I just ignore it. Whatever this is, there may be a reason you do that. I'm also getting like another version of ignoring it is kind of just idle chat with other people that's not leading to anything. It's kind of like we think this is going on, we don't really know. Oh, that happened? Or we think that's why, we don't really know. Idle chat that doesn't lead anywhere. That's one version of like no change at all. There's also you being a little bit more inquisitive on your terms. Now, you may have connections at this situation, or Gemini is very smart. I just feel like you guys are underestimated a lot. If you've decided you want information, you'll find ways to get it that will be way beyond me mentioning in this reading. You'll have ways to do that I wouldn't even think of. you have a lot of different angles, and you can find a way to get information. But that's going to have to be something that you have to play the solitaire game on. You may talk about the situation with other people, but you're going to have to kind of play a poker face to where people don't know what you're actually doing, is what I'm getting. I don't know how to explain that. I feel like, especially Gemini, I really feel like you're good at this if you want to be. You can talk about a situation and get information and technically tell people things without people realizing you told them things, if that makes sense. You can get information out there and pull information back without people really catching on to what you're talking about. I feel like you can do that. You can keep people distracted and still garner what you need to garner. It's kind of one of the gifts of Gemini, but it's also very misunderstood with Gemini, in my opinion. This is an option. It's a very active option, though. You're going to have to play the poker face. You're going to have to get in there. You could probably find things to do on the internet. You might have to look around here and there. I would highly recommend you have a system for containing and getting your information. Like, I wouldn't keep, for example, if this is a work situation, I would not keep it on a work email or a work anything where they could access in any sense or color. But I might make notes for myself. I might email those notes, or like take a picture of it and email it to myself later. I might take electronic notes. I might like just keep reference of where I found this and where I found that. Highly recommend keep reference of where you found things, because you got a lot going on upstairs. You got a lot going on, and you might forget. You might know that you got information. You might know that it's good. You might not remember all the details of how you got it. And if you can look back and be like, oh, that's right, that's how I found that, it may open up a different door later. Just saying. So you want to keep, I would say, copious notes if you're going to choose this option. We're just dealing with the options. Like the third one is interesting. Okay, so you might decide that, you know, I don't really want this anymore. I'm going to go back to something else I knew. This is a past card. This is, to me, this is history. To me, that's how I look at this. Things how they used to be, that type of thing. You might end up disconnecting from this and returning to something you used to know. Something that, like, for example, if it was a job situation, all right, I've been at this job for X amount of time. This is going on now. I'm not comfortable with it. The place where I used to work is hiring and they want me back. I'll just go there. Problem solved. Some of you are going to have that option. I feel like most of you are going to have some version of that option. They may not be offering you to come back, but you might like look into it and be like, oh, that place is opening. It's rehiring, and I did really well at that. They liked me there. Let me touch base with them. Oh, yeah, they'd take me back in a heartbeat, and for a little bit more money, they'd pay me a little bit more. Maybe I'll do that, and I'll just exit this situation. It seems like something about going back to the way you used to do things in the past. There's a past influence returning to the past. So you got three options. Nothing happens, return to the past, or put in that effort and find what's actually here for you. I feel like this is centering on this, because in this actual reading, the way it came down, the bottom card, the base card, what this is all built on is you making decisions, probably quick decisions, which can lead here or here very easily. If you are doing the research, you could probably take it somewhere you want it. If it's idle, I don't think you're going to get what you want out of it. There's going to be changes, but maybe not what you want from it. Because I see this coming up, and they're like giving you like a path choice here. The idle path is leading to this. It's leading to the Three of Swords, which is heartbreak. There's going to be a great moment coming up, but if you're not in the know, if you haven't researched it, where your energy will naturally take you will take you somewhere where you're going to be like, either I don't like it, or it's going to be like, oh, I wish I realized that. I would have went there instead. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you like a mountain view, and there's 5 roads ahead of you. One of those roads leads to a mountain view, but you had no idea. You're too far away to even know there is a mountain, let alone that there could be a mountain view. And you're just like, oh, this one looks good. There's a lot of pretty flowers here. and I have to make a decision now because, okay, I'll just take this one. Because it's going to be a quick decision when it does come in. I feel like I'm going to be like, oh, if I had realized that that one road was just rough in the beginning and then it brought you up into a mountain view, I would have loved that. What is this? There is a very alluring energy to this if you allow yourself to discover it. So once you let yourself kind of play the game, if you will, play the game, I feel like you can start getting in and finding your angles very easily. It's all about seeing it before it gets to you. I feel like that's what this is, seeing it before it gets to you. And it's kind of like, I keep getting like, if there was 5 different choices, it's like, oh, the thumb looks like the easiest way, and I that'll work. You don't have time to research all of them. And it's like, you're only getting a little farther, like you're only gonna get like, 20 feet down the road on each of them. And it's like, you have to go miles. You have to go 20, 30 miles before you really know what each of them are. So it's like, if you have to make that quick decision, you have 20 feet down each road to decide which one looks the best for you. If you're ahead of it, if you're researching it, you're going to be like, oh, I had a feeling, I knew that they had this there and they had that there. And now this road takes me to Texas, for example. And like, oh, all right, there's some nice things there. This one takes me to Colorado. There's a lot of mountains in Colorado, I think. My geography's in question here. It's kind of like realizing ahead of time. Holding to what you want to. People are going to try to dissuade you. Am I using the word? They're going to try to change your mind. I don't know. I don't have to use a $10 word on that, I guess. People will try to change your mind. If you know where you're going to be and you know where you want to go, you just got to stick to it. Get where you want to go. What does this one say? Knowing that what you want is right for you. Not everybody wants to live in the mountains. Some people may be like, oh, the mountains, Gemini? Oh, it's cold there. Why would you do that? It doesn't matter. If you like the mountains, that's where you need to go. Same thing for like a desert or wherever. You know what I mean? You know how that goes. Then you just got to like stick to like where you want to be. Make sure you don't let people dissuade you. I keep wanting to use the word dissuade because I feel like they're going to be kind of like a little bit manipulative. Like, no, Gemini, look, we have tea and crumpets over here and strawberry shortcake on Thursdays. Go over here with us. You know what I mean? They're going to try to, coax you over their way. It may be because they like you, but still, if it's not what you truly want, even though they like you, you got to stick to what's right for you. You know what I mean? There is like this going through this gate type feeling. You got the gates of triumph that's trying to come in. Once the choice is made, I feel like the choice is made. Once the choice is made, the choice is made. Whatever the situation is, you may feel like you don't usually have a strong enough influence to change things or go backwards at least. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward. Once you step through the doorway, that's where you are. It's like getting on a boat, if you will. Once you're on the boat, it sets off, and then that's it. Even if you get back to where you came from, the other 4 boats are gone anyway, so it is what it is. That. I want to know about that. Stick to what you know. Stick to what you know. It's good, but like, okay. Justice coming in, which is a very good card for Gemini. It's another air card. Sometimes talks about Libra. You don't have to be dealing with Libra, but this is like working with what you have and making the best of it and being as diplomatic as you can be. You also got the 2 of Wands reversed. Resist making quick changes once you're where you want to be. Don't shake it up too much to where you're going to lose what you actually wanted. Always make sure you think it out. Don't take any quick decisions. No quick decisions. Make sure that all the decisions are thought out and what you want them to be once you're there. Once you are in that position, you're on that road you want to be. You got that mountain view, for example. Once you're there, slow it down. All you have to do, I don't think this has to be hard, because once in a while this can be a pitfall for Gemini, but this can work to your advantage this time. So it's kind of like those, it's the energy, how the energy works, it's just angling it to your advantage. Which is kind of like overthinking the situation. Air signs can do that. Gemini, I feel like that's something that happens to Gemini. Sometimes overthinking it. Paralysis by analysis, I think, comes to mind. At this time, use that to your advantage. Anytime a possibility comes in and somebody wants to make a quick choice, overthink it. Do yourself a favor, overthink it. It'll keep you where you are. It'll keep you from moving on from something that you actually want to keep in your hand. Overthink it. Allow yourself to overthink it. It seems simple, but I feel like when the desert passage comes in here, I feel like, you know, what I'm seeing here is like we got to be careful how far we go. You know, where are we when the sun's up? Where are we when the sun's down? My interpretation, I haven't been in the deserts very much. I've been there once in a while. But like typically from what I've experienced, it's the warmest in the day. It can get very, very warm. And it can get very, very cold at night. Like very cold at night. So it's kind of like if I angle it and I understand my situation and I'm like, okay, it's going to get cold, so I have to be over here when it gets cold. It's going to get hot, so I have to stay out of the sun when it's hot. Got to stay near water, blah, 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 blah. I feel like you'll get the lay of the land very quickly. The trick is to let that one attribute that usually I feel like works against you, let it work for you at this part. So you stay where you want to stay. This was here too. Because it's like, I see the desert passage and I keep seeing the gates of triumph. It's kind of like staying where you want to stay. It seems to be a challenge, but I also get like, there's another level with that overanalyzing thing. It does keep you entertained at times. Seeing the possibilities come your way and then overthinking them is entertaining to a point. So, am I wrong? I don't know. Let me know if I'm wrong. To a point. Especially if you look back and you're like, oh, I overthought that. And I didn't really want it, so I guess that worked. And if you're constantly like, oh, that's interesting, you're going to gain a lot of information about things that may seem like it doesn't matter, but it's interesting if you just keep overthinking it at this point. It's just weird to say that. A lot of healing with that, too. I like this, too. Because I feel like part of that overthinking is talking with other people, and you might get other people overthinking it, too, which might help them, too. So, it's very interesting. I feel like I like that. I like that when a certain attribute of a sign that is normally looked at as like a negative can be turned into a positive. I feel like earth signs get that thing with stubborn. People accuse earth signs of being stubborn. It's not stubborn if they're holding their ground for something they want. It's actually an asset. You know what I mean? So I've noticed it with that sign too. It's doing those things. You know what I mean? Each sign has its own positives and perceived positives and negatives. Sometimes it's only positive or negative based on how it's affecting your life, you know. Anything else? All right, I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. This is James number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.